Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me for another Alfred Hitchcock Presents review. Today I will be talking about Season 3, Episode 19, The Equalizer, starring Leif Erikson as Wayne Phillips and Martin Balsam as Eldon Marsh. And this is an average episode in my opinion. There's some really positive qualities to this episode. It's very fast-paced and pretty entertaining for the most part, and the acting is pretty solid overall. However, there are also a few big negatives to this episode in my opinion. This is definitely one of those episodes where you have to somewhat suspend your disbelief, and that's mostly because the two lead characters, their character motivations aren't entirely believable, and the whole plot is kind of exaggerated a little bit, and the ending is kind of strange as well. So we start out with these two men, our main characters, Eldon and Wayne, and they're talking. And Eldon is talking about golf, and he's saying he had the club that was an equalizer to the game, which is somewhat important to the plot. So at this point, we go to a dinner party, and we're introduced to Louise, who's Eldon's wife. And you can tell that Wayne is interested in her. He's dancing with her, and you can tell he just likes all the ladies in general, but doesn't seem that serious about them. And Eldon noticed this as well, so later that night he asked his wife about it, but Louise says she didn't, like Wayne too much. She seems uninterested in him, but she's not very convincing, and Eldon's not so sure. I wasn't so sure myself about this. So at this point, we go to the next scene, and Eldon and Wayne are at work, and Wayne is talking about all the wives that he met at the party, including Eldon's wife, Louise. Eldon gets very annoyed by this, which is understandable, and he basically warns Wayne to stay away from Louise at this point, but Wayne doesn't take it too seriously. He's not really too worried about it. So at this point, Eldon hears some chatting, and the idea gets in his head that perhaps Wayne and his wife Louise are hooking up. This kind of reinforces it. I think that was already in his head. So at this point, Eldon sees his wife at like a bar, I think it is, and he gets even more suspicious based on the way his wife is acting during their conversation, and when he sees Wayne there playing cards with some other guys and the way his wife reacts to the situation, he's pretty sure that something is going on between Wayne and Louise. So Eldon throws a drink in Wayne's face at this point. He confronts him and accuses Wayne. Of course, Wayne denies this, and Eldon at this point wants to fight him, and there's definitely a size difference between them. Wayne is quite a bit bigger. Wayne, tries to play it off, but Eldon throws a punch at him. Wayne basically blocks it and hits Eldon. It's a pretty good shot, I have to say. So Eldon goes down, and to make things worse for this guy, when he gets back home, Louise lays into him. She basically admits that something was going on, and she blames Eldon and says this is all his fault for saying something about it, which I thought was strange. She also tells Eldon at this point she's going to leave him over this. And at this point, I have to say I did feel a little bad for Eldon, even if he's, acting kind of strangely himself. So we also learn that Eldon gets fired from his job. I didn't really get this. Why does he get fired when he was right about the whole situation? I guess it's because he insisted that he had to fight this guy, Wayne. So I guess it kind of makes sense if you just go with it. So at this point, Eldon won't leave this alone. He just keeps challenging Wayne to a fight. I'm not really sure why Eldon was so insistent on this. Sure, what happened to him was bad, but there's other solutions here other than fighting this guy. This is where, to me, the character motivations become kind of unbelievable. And Wayne says he's not interested in this, but Eldon says this time it'll be a fair fight because I challenge you to a weapons duel and you can pick the weapon. So, Wayne's still not interested. He thinks Eldon's not all there, I guess, but Eldon just keeps bothering him. So finally, Wayne agrees to this, which wasn't really very believable either. Why would Wayne agree to this? Again, there were other things he could have done instead, but like I said, you got to just go with it. So eventually Wayne says we'll use guns, and Eldon seems satisfied with that because it'll even the odds. So eventually we get to the scene, and Eldon is waiting for Wayne in the place they're supposed to meet and have this duel. But Wayne just basically shoots Eldon with no warning. So Eldon's a goner. And when the police come, Wayne acts like this is self-defense. He makes up a story and says he had no choice. But it turns out in the twist of the episode that Eldon had no gun, which based on what we've known in Eldon in this episode, there was no hint of this. This twist was okay, but it did kind of come out of nowhere. Did Eldon just change his mind? Was this thing an act all along to see how Wayne would act? Some might find it to their satisfaction, but I just thought this twist wasn't the most believable thing in the way based on the information the episode presented us with. But overall, the episode is fast-paced and interesting and entertaining. There's just a lot of plot elements that don't totally come together for me. But overall, I didn't mind The Equalizer, and I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. And, this is an episode you could watch or not. I'm pretty neutral towards it. So 2.5 out of 5 for The Equalizer. And as always, thank you very much for watching.